This is Jim Sawyer for Capitalism In Crisis.org. We rejoin Zombienomics as the White House air conditioning kicks on at daybreak. Is this it? Is demise of the zombies at hand? Well, no, actually. Suddenly, the president's porter reappears, gesturing urgently for Adam and Joan to follow to an obscure utility closet. You'll be safe here momentarily, but don't mess up again, Ms. Robinson, he cautions with recrimination. Remember, you were just overheard calling Mr. Trump Prez Nothenberger. Is this how you want your White House stay to end, Ms. Robinson? Whatever, Robinson scoffs as the porter moves out of earshot. For all I care, she mutters, you could wake up dead just like me. Next, the zombies dive furiously into untangling what many Americans think about how the economy works versus how it actually works. Joan begins. Adam, I've been ruminating about your China comments. Please expand on context, or as you say, context. Next, the first economist pontificates, but here we call it soliloquy. Paraphrased, it runs like this. Smith was 4 years old at the time of Isaac Newton's death and grew up thinking him to be the greatest human ever to have lived. Fascinated particularly by the physical scientist's description of the orderly way the solar system behaves, Smith sought to discover similar principles of order through observing late 18th century commerce in his native Scotland. Professor Smith's specialty was moral philosophy, or ethics. He asked and sought answers to questions about right action. What should individuals do? Or at the macro level, what should entire societies do? Adam, do we really have time for this stuff? Robinson implores. Essential stuff, Smith mutters decisively. Next, Adam launches into how context shifted, beginning with serfs, transitioning out of feudalism to the time The Wealth of Nations was written, when market-based trade within large urban centers had replaced feudalism as commonplace. The evolution of context has a parallel in contemporary China. What happened in Europe over 3 centuries happened in China over little more than 3 decades. Of course, policy guidance by China's government and similar guidance within Europe's emerging democracies was quite different. Different especially at transition's end than at transition's beginning. For Europe, in the beginning, capitalism mostly was unsophisticated, community-oriented, bartered trade without much manufacturing and without the use of much money. Early narratives were of migration into the world of tedious, scantily paid factory work in the dark, satanic mills described by poet William Blake. There was no going back, of course. Once serfs gave up farms for urban factories, they were forever cut off from old networks of friends and family and tightly knit communities where near limitless farm production had been possible even during depressed conditions everywhere else. Then and there, unemployment was a virtually meaningless concept. Not so in modern urban capitalism, however, where unemployment can be profound, widespread, devastating. Fast forward, consider especially unemployment during the Great Depression, when as many as 1 in 4 American workers was affected. Consider also the shifting significance of Newtonian order in attempts to explain these unprecedented events. During the 1930s, the norm was prolonged hardship, with the Newtonian promise of swift return to full employment. Tragically meaningless, however, or worse. Too slow, too slow. You've got to get us out of here, fast, now, mutters Robinson. But what is Newton's actual relevance or irrelevance to all of this, Joan demands. It is this, Adam Smith retorts. Fundamentalist economists have continued steadfastly in adherence to a straitjacket view of Newtonian orderliness. It has become their stock in trade, their religion in a literalist sense. But as real-world context has shifted and evolved, reinterpretation of Newton's contributions is imperative. Now, Newton should be viewed not literally, but metaphorically. Unfortunately, fundamentalists, the true believers, are not disposed nor competent to make this thought transition. It is holding up the profession, holding up the American economy, the entire country, holding up the very American experiment in democratic capitalism. "So how am I doing, Joan?" Smith asks smugly as he fumbles in his pocket with a key fob for his new Audi, parked behind the White House next to the president's limo. Unfortunately, in that moment, he sets off the car alarm and everything blares. "You idiot," snaps Robinson. "Shut that off now." But of course, neither can operate a car alarm, and as the blaring intensifies in their heads, the zombies acknowledge instantly their White House days have ended. They are now cooked. "Let's make a run for it," Smith gasps as the porter pounds on the locked door. "The president can't hear over the din," he yells. He can't get his morning fix of Fox and Friends, and he's freaking mad. What happens next is a blur. Our protagonists surge from the closet, then make a beeline for the Audi. Joan squills rubber as she commandeers the driver's seat with a carload of Secret Service agents in hot pursuit. As they speed down Constitution Avenue, ripping past a slower vehicle driven by a fundamentalist Christian, Adam fixates on the bumper sticker. In the Rapture, it says, "This car will be unmanned." "I wonder if we're about to be raptured," Adam Smith gasps. "Just shut up and hold on," Robinson commands, as a low-pitched vibration pulses through their vehicle. "Rats," gasped Robinson. "Trump has turned us over to zombie master control. We've had it now for sure." In the ensuing moment, the zombies are sucked out through the Audi's moonroof, even as Smith flips his wig, which lands in the gutter at the feet of a grateful tourist from, you guessed it, Scotland. Well, what now? The zombies aren't totally dead, so to speak. Next, we follow their antics at a new assignment as Joan, Adam, and Friends on Fox News. "Wait," Smith complains, "shouldn't that be Adam, Joan, and Friends?" Whatever. Try to imagine what comes next.